Actually, Vanessa, I've always wondered that too. I just don't know.
We're going back in time, counting down the top 80 songs from the greatest pop music decade in the history of human civilization, the 1980s. You're listening to the 80 of the 80s podcast with your hosts, DJ CK1 and AK47.
Happy New Year! I sound kind of like Frosty, right?
No, he says, Happy Birthday!
Happy Birthday!
Well, you know, Frosty, I don't understand why it's such a Christmas show because it has a lot to do with snow. You can have in January, too.
Yeah, you're right.
So he might as well just be saying Happy New Year 2017.
I feel like it's going to be a good year, and good riddance to 2016.
Why?
Sucking balls.
Why was wrong with 2016?
No.
It was a good year for us.
Too many people died. It was sucky.
But celebrities died.
Yes.
But if you look at the grand scheme of things, the international picture, you'll see statistics show that childhood poverty and infant mortality is all-time low. Less people today are dying from war and plagues and pestilence and other things than they were in the old days. It's not like we're in that great Soviet famine of the 1940s or Spanish flu. We don't have any Spanish flu like in 1915. So, hey, hooray for human progress.
Happy birthday!
Yay. I stand by my statement.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Because since our last show, we lost another great voice of the 80s, a very talented person,
Yes.
singer.
Yes.
You know who I'm talking about?
George Michael.
No. I'm talking about Alan Thicke.
Come in, baby, I've got some muscle for you. Sweaty
Thicke?
Alan Thicke, yes, you know.
Thicke?
Growing
Yeah,
Pains.
seriously?
Growing Pains.
You're gonna take me to have some big time fun, oh dog.
He was also the scientist
Thicke.
inventor father from the great movie Not Quite Human. Thicke, you're right.
Thicke.
Now it makes sense. His album, The Thick of the Night, is not pronounced Thicke of the Night. I get it now.
Did you really think it was Thicke?
Well, it has an E on the end, but
Well, so does the band of the song that we're doing.
right, so it should be Exposé,
It's expose.
not Expose.
They call themselves Exposé.
So if it's like a straight line over it, it's a long E, and if it's like an accent, then it turns into an A. I'm learning about the English language here. This is interesting stuff. But yeah, actually, I knew that's the way it was pronounced. I'm just plain stupid.
Okay.
But so our number 51 song is.
Oh, that song.
What is that song?
That one that you like. What's it called?
Here, okay. If you look at the lyrics, it repeats it over and over again.
Oh,
What?
I'm just plain stupid.
The crowd on hand was so familiar with the group's first single, Point of No Return, that most fans sang along from beginning to end.
Okay.
And you know, the point of no return. It's an okay
Well,
song.
before we get to that, we got
It's
some.
okay.
We have now with the new year, for Christmas, Santa brought us a new studio, and we installed buckets of slime.
We did.
Yes, we did because
He did.
this is going to be a special treat. We're going to go back to the retro nostalgia thing, just like they did on the great Nickelodeon show. You can't do that on television. Sorry, Gobatron. I'm going to pick the secret phrase. It's going to be not secret word, but secret phrase. If anytime we say, I don't know, buckets of slime are going to fall on our head. All right?
But we're on the couch. Isn't that gonna? I mean,
That's just the price we have to pay. Right? A little bit of fun is worth the cleaning that you're going to have to do later.
me.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Right.
I don't think so.
Right. Well, it's a lot of cornstarch and food coloring that should wash out pretty easily. You know, just take it to the dry cleaner. Let's move on though. All right. So talking about all the unfortunate celebrity deaths, we'll get onto that later in our show because we want to end on a downer. Also, if you remember our last show, we spoke about a lot of our fans, our listeners. They submitted their favorite video game tunes. That was part one. We're also going to do part two here in about 20, 30 minutes, however it takes us to talk about this great artist, Exposé, originally known as Exposure with an X, the letter X.
I kind of like that better.
You do?
Exposure.
And actually,
Yeah.
that was the name of their first album, too, was Exposure. This song, Point of No Return, was the first song they recorded.
When the song was released in late 1984 on Miami's Pantera record label, it soon became a hit on radio stations and in dance clubs all over South Florida.
Had a different lineup. The three expose girls that we know and love them, Jeanette, this other one I can't pronounce, Gioia, here, how do you pronounce it? She's like Italian.
Gioia?
Gioia, okay, I should know this. And Jeanette and Gioia are the ones that, probably the lineup that had, that was singing on TV and the Grammys and all that stuff. But the original lineup, so you had like Frank Diaz and his friend Louis Martini, I guess it's Martini. Is it? Look, he has a little accent on the end of his name, so it should be Martinet, right?
Martinet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so Martinet was a disc jockey and a producer, and they recruited Sandee, or is it Sandee? Because it's got...
I think that they wanted to add these little happy little slash accents at the end of their names just to go with the expose. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Really,
so,
I don't know.
Anyway, so they got Sandee or Sandee, who's actually had a really good voice. Very good stage presence. Then Lori Miller was Frankie's girlfriend, and she was doing the makeup and costuming and stuff, which she said it would take them like 6 hours just to do the makeup and costumes for the show because they wanted to look as cool, as glittery, and as outrageous as possible. They were like, hey, Lori, you seem like to be such a good fit. Why don't you be in the group too? So she was the second member, and then they were going to record the song Point of No Return in the studio. Louis Martinet was waiting for Sandee to come in the studio, but she didn't show up. And he was like, who's going to sing now? I don't think Lori would be good for the lead on this song. And then he remembered that, hey, my girlfriend's here. And I remember hearing her sing in the car along to the demo of this song. So I'm going to have my girlfriend, Allie, or L.A., I'm going to have her sing this song.
The common room seems just like a dream. It's a mystery to me.
So he took her to the studio, she sang it, and that's why on the original version, Point of No Return, her voice is a little more subdued. It's a little like, she almost sounds kind of shy and quiet because she's not really that comfortable in the studio while she's recording this song. Did you like the original version?
I
the
did.
Vocal?
Yeah, I
Why
liked
didn't
it
you like
better. It just sounded smoother, sexy, not as nasally. You know what I mean?
It's Jeanette saying?
Yeah, it's just the other
second
one is just so loud and nasally.
Thanks to this song was big hit back in '85 in clubs.
In May 1985, Point of No Return hit #1 on Billboard magazine's dance chart for 2 consecutive weeks.
Because it had a great freestyle sound. I mean, this song had 4 different melodies. We're talking about the verse, a pre-chorus, a chorus, and then there's even a bridge, the part where it's like, I want to...
I wanna be with you, baby. I'm gonna be by your side.
That's like a 4th melody thrown in there. It's kind of like the song Let the Music Play by Shannon, which is...
It's a good song.
Yeah, which is kind of like the prototypical freestyle song. It sounded very advanced compared to a lot of the dance music that was out at the time. Record labels were interested in him. Martinet and Frank Diller got a advance. They're starting to get money. They're starting to get recognition. Expose's taking off.
A group giving other South Florida groups a run for their money.
It's becoming very popular in Miami. There started some frictions are forming. Allie didn't really like the theme, or is it Allie? What should I call it?
Just say Allie. It just
Allie, okay.
If we're saying it wrong, we're sorry.
Allie's starting to get uncomfortable with this much pressure. She doesn't want to fly. So Allie breaks up with Louis. Lori breaks up with Frank. And so suddenly these guys are like, oh, we have 2 ex-girlfriends singing for us now. We don't like that. Sandee wants to do her own thing. She thinks she's good enough to go solo. And so, bam, they have to get a whole new lineup. So it wasn't really a firing. In a lot of ways, it was a voluntary leave. They were willing to keep Lori in the group, but Lori did not want to sign the contract because she felt like she was giving too much of herself away, too many rights away, that she was going to be this product. And so she didn't go along with it. However, this first Expose album, Exposure, a lot of the backing vocals, she claims, are still her. So a lot of the singers is still the original trio that's singing backup, especially like in Come Go With Me, another great hit song that they have from the album. Those backup singers are the original Expose, but they're not getting credit for singing the original backup vocals for that. And all three of the original members tried to have solo projects, but they couldn't say, I was a former member of Expose, because they could have been sued. Legally, they couldn't even say that. Like, I was formerly in Expose to help push their career along, so.
Wow.
This first one, though, they got Jeanette Ann and Gioia. I think this is probably one of the better dance albums of the decade. I think it ranks up there. It's kind of like with the Stock Aitken Waterman level of sound quality and very melodic, very catchy songs. And so the singles, we got, not only do we have Point of No Return, we got Come Go With Me, Let Me Be the One, which Gioia sings the lead on that one. Seasons Change is a beautiful ballad, and Louis Martinet says that's probably like his favorite song he's ever written. He wrote it when he just turned 30 and he felt like he was getting old. Kind of a melancholy tune.
It's a pretty song.
Woe is him
It
turning
really
30.
is. It's a good song.
Yeah, it is.
I want to feel you by my side. I need you. Don't you know I need you, baby? Seasons change, feelings change. It's been so long since I've had you. Yeah, it seems like yesterday.
It went to number 1 in the U.S. Actually, in the United States, all 4 of those singles off of the Exposure album all went top 10 U.S. And it's the first time that's ever happened for a debut group. Their next album, What You Don't Know, with the song What You Don't Know, that was also pretty good.
That is a good song.
Yes,
I like
it is.
that.
Another great.
Yeah.
I think they lost a lot of their energy. They moved further away from their Latin-influenced freestyle sound. They dropped Martinet after their second album. They waited like 3 years between each album, which is too long, I think. Mm-hmm. Third album, they got Dionne Warren, who we talked about. She wrote the song Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now. They got her to write a lot of these ballads because they were trying to do a Wilson Phillips thing for VH1 Sunday Brunch.
Mm-hmm. As long as the stars shine down from the heavens.
Middle-aged, kind of baby boomers in their 40s audience. And so I think they just kind of lost their energy because if you watch the videos, it looks like they're having a lot of fun. A lot of synchronized choreographed dancing. The 3 popular singers, the ones that recorded most of the albums, are very accomplished singers. They have very strong voices.
You know, you talk a lot of smack about New Kids on the Block.
Yes.
And look, I'm not a huge New Kids on the Block fan, okay? Of course I grew up listening to them, but they have about maybe 2 or 3 songs that I would still consider to be very good songs. But how is Expose different from New Kids on the Block, aside from the fact that they're boys versus girls?
Well, okay, no, wait. First, the fact that they're girls adds an extra appeal to it.
Okay, I agree with that, actually.
Yeah, they're semi-attractive women, especially Anne.
But the New Kids on the Block weren't terrible for teenage boys.
But they're girls.
I know, but I'm just saying. I mean, you know.
Well, okay, I understand none of them wrote their songs. They're all kind of packaged, highly promoted products. I just think the songs are better. And the Martinet freestyle sound, the dance sound, is so much. I would take that over the Maurice Starr, he was the producer of New Kids and also did New Edition.
New Kids is more
flatter,
kind of
generic, and
like hip hop kind of sound.
There is a little bit more of
I don't care for that as much.
More of an urban influence, I guess you would say. They do some rapping.
Yeah.
Do you know what freestyle is?
I'm learning a little bit over the last little bit that you've been listening to it. I've heard
Right.
some.
How it separates that from other 80s types of dance music? You don't know?
Please tell me. I imagine you will.
At first, I didn't know, but... I just got slime.
You're trying to catch me to say it. Is that what it is?
I was trying to.
Wow.
I even said.
I totally forgot
I even
about
said
it.
the expose song what you don't know, but I figured that's not the whole phrase. It has to start with I. It has to go I. Well, I'm not going to say the
It has
rest
to
of
be
it.
what now? What is
No,
it?
it has to start with I, and then the rest of
Rest of
of
what?
it. I'm you know what you know.
What are you talking about?
You know, right? Don't you know?
What?
Okay, it's not working. I can't catch you. So all this mess is on my side of the couch.
I'm still wondering what slime you're talking about.
The stuff that's poured on me.
Oh.
Come on, go along with it. Come on.
Okay. Oh, you're so nasty.
Yes,
get
I
away
know.
from me. It's disgusting.
You know,
Ah.
we have to stay dedicated before I take get in the shower. We have to.
I thought you were going to say before I take a shit.
What were we talking about? The freestyle sound. I've learned some about it too because at first I saw some of the groups that were associated. Pretty Poison, New Shoes, Information Society. And I was trying to differentiate that dance sound from the Euro disco, Italian disco sound. And I think that's most of the difference is just what side of the pond the bands are. But if you think about the prototypical freestyle sound or song, which was Shannon's Let the Music Play, which was back in '83, a very groundbreaking sound sonically. I think of it almost as like Aural basketball. Aural like AU, you know, like what you hear, not like
got it.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
okay.
It's got the squeakiness of kind of what?
I can't stand the squeaky shoes.
And basketball, but in the music,
Yeah.
it's got kind of scratching, right? It's got whistles. It's like the referees blowing the whistles. You got artificial hand claps. Like that's the crowd cheering the team on. But most notably, you got the bass. It's like a heavy rubber ball just bouncing on your head. Like hitting you like a giant mallet. Like bam, bam. He made this as the Latin influence. These mariachi synth horns that kind of like tease you like a double Dutch. They go na 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 na. Synth trumpets are kind of taunting you. Right.
Okay.
So there's the basketball tie-in. So it does have like, you know, New York City, Los Angeles, Miami, especially Miami is where the sound emerged from. You have some of the other influence. You have Arthur Baker, who produced Planet Rock with African Bambaataa, which we talked about before. They used the Roland 808 drum machine, which Rob did a little segment about us earlier. I'm gonna do a little segment where I want to play like my 5 favorite freestyle songs. That way you can kind of get the idea of the sub dance genre.
Okay.
And how awesome it is and how I've really enjoyed doing research about this. I mean, Louis Martini, he also worked with the Cover Girls, who opened for... You should know this.
New Kids on the Block.
Right, yeah. Like,
Well, they have a song called Cover Girl, too. The New Kids
oh,
on the
yeah,
Block.
you're right.
do.
The Cover Girl. Don't they sing
Yeah,
some...
you know that song. Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of a nice little ditty, I guess.
It's one of their songs that I say is okay.
Right. They also work with Debbie Gibson. We talked about Play
Yeah.
the Feel. And he worked with like Ricky Martin later, Celine Dion, blah, blah, blah. You know, bet you like in the 90s and things like that. I guess anytime somebody wants a semi-Latin dance sound, they hook up with him. But probably my favorite song that he does. Pet Shop Boys Domino Dancing.
Oh, that's a great song.
They wrote the songs, the lyrics, and the melody, but they came to them and they said, like, make this as Latin as possible. So it's got that little salsa dance, chive, organ line in it. We got 3 more segments coming up, okay?
Oh my God.
Yes. What do you mean, oh my God? Yeah, let's go to commercial break. Then I'll play some more tunes, and then we'll go to the video game thing. Okay?
Okie dokie.
Let's do it. So,
80 of the 80s will be back in a moment. Yay.
I don't know why, I don't know how. Thought I loved you, but I'm not sure now. Seen you look at strangers too many times. The love you want is of a different kind.
The Intellivisionaries Podcast.
The Intellivisionaries. Yes, we're surprised too.
I love this show.
It's just like 1982 all over again.
The Intellivision is better than the PlayStation 4.
Thundercastle's my favorite.
I'm all pixeled out.
Introducing Mattel Electronics Intellivision.
Hello at Intellivisionaries.com. You can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Libsyn. Our website, Intellivisionaries.com or intipodcast.com.
The Intellivisionaries Podcast. Intellivision is the Intellivisionaries.
Jam! Look, new jam, new rock and curl jam. You see the greatest look and most incredible hair when rock and curl jam is there. Wow, wow, what a smile! She's the prettiest girl. I love new jam, rock and curl. She's prettier than ever. I love what you can do with her hair. You can curl it up, you can tease it out. Rock and curl jam's got hair to rave about. Jam, rock and curl jam.
Friday, Don Johnson securing Sheena Easton.
What are you gonna protect me with? Blow dry?
And they could find themselves securing each other.
I'm getting married.
Miami Vice, Friday.
Walk to anybody and say, do you know who Expose is? And they say, yeah, it's those 3 women that get on stage and party. Then I can sit back and say, I've achieved my goals.
hey, pop stars. This is ex-DJ CK1. If you're interested in the Miami freestyle sound, here's a few other singles you may want to check out. But you don't have to take my word for it. First, this is Expose's Exposed to Love, the only cut that made their debut album with original member Ali Lorenzo singing lead. And here's another Expose member, Sandee, with probably her most memorable solo track, You're the One. You can kind of hear a Latin style. At the same time, Luis Martinez was working with Expose. He also started a girl duo, Sequal. Here's their debut single, It's Not Too Late. Perhaps as equally influential as Shannon's Let the Music Play is Debbie Deb's When I Hear Music. She wrote and recorded this dance club staple. Debbie was only 16. Maybe that's part of the appeal. Here's my favorite recent discovery, The Voice in Fashion, with Give Me Your Love. For a Miami group, I get a little Euro Depeche synth vibe. Finally, here's Will to Power. They're best known for doing sappy covers of 70s rock hits like Baby I Love Your Way and I'm Not in Love. But studio whiz Bob Rosenberg's greatest strengths are in dance production and extreme motorsports. Like this blast in the balls, Fading Away. To get the full multimedia experience, I suggest you check out the over-the-top music video. When Bob takes the mic, it's so totally rad-ass. You can find a YouTube playlist of these and other Miami freestyle songs on the show notes at our site, 80ofthE80s.com. That's 80OFTHE80s.com. First is that we got another iTunes review.
We did?
Yes, we did. IN said that we were funny and informative. Always learn something interesting in each episode. And so he gave us 5, I assume it's IN's a him, 5
Maybe
stars.
not.
Maybe so.
Maybe it's an it.
Maybe, yeah, who knows? These days you don't know.
Alien.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't mean it like that. Like the way
Like
you took it.
Well, like it could be a robot.
I meant like an alien or a robot or
I was
something.
thinking artificial intelligence.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
If you listen to iTunes, just go over, leave a review.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want. It doesn't have to be something nice, but just
Well, that was a nice
helps us
review.
out.
Thank
Yes, it
you.
was.
That
Yes.
was awesome.
I found out. I just looked at our statistics, and a third of our listeners listen to us through iHeartRadio. But only our last 3 episodes are on iHeartRadio. Is it episodes or episodes? I've had a hard time with the pronunciation tonight.
Episodes. Why can't we put more on there, I wonder?
Oh, I think it's just because it's a newer service. And so if you, iHeartRadio listeners, are interested in some of our older episodes, just go to our website, 80ofthE80s.com, and you can download them all from there. I listen to them all from there. iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, all that stuff that you always say at the end of the show. Moving on, though, let's. This is part 2. If you haven't heard, for part 1, we asked our listeners for submissions. Your favorite video game tune of the 80s. We had so many of them. We had to break them up. This is part 2. Some of these are a bit more obscure. That is some.
I like that, though.
Yeah, again, my pronunciation, I hope it works well tonight. But here's one I know how to pronounce. Golden Axe. This is Bay O Problem, said he likes the Wilderness theme for Golden Axe. Have you ever played with Golden Axe?
I want to say that I have, but I can't think of it. So I would need to see it and hear it.
It was a Sega arcade game. It was a beat 'em up similar to Double Dragon, Streets of Rage kind of game. except it had a fantasy medieval theme to it. And I think one of the most noble things I remember was that when you kill an enemy, they really sound like they're dying. The enemies will yell and screech, "Oh my God!"
Pretty realistic.
Yeah. Okay. Up next, we got Eric's. He says that his favorite tune is hands down Bionic Commando for the NES. He's saying the game was so hard when I was a kid. It's a good thing the first map has such good music because I heard it a lot. It's been remixed tons of times. They even recreated it for Bionic Commando Rearmed, which I guess is a remake or sequel. It's probably my favorite song from the NES game I've played. So Bionic Commando theme, pretty elaborate game for back when it came out, I think like 87 or so. And it gets you all jazzed up because it's got that snare drum, makes you feel like you're marching in the military. Yeah, going out to kill some... I'm not going to give away the secret spoiler, and
You'll just have to tell me later. Or maybe let me play it. How that'd be
it was
better.
something that probably wouldn't have back in the day made it past the Nintendo censors. So.
Oh, wow, okay.
Just say that.
I'm going to have to play this game now.
Just to find out. Okay.
Don't tell me.
Okay, next up we got DJ Sirius, our friend. Remember him?
Yay!
Yes. He said that his favorite is the Super Mario Bros. 2 Overworld theme. I knew a guy in college who could play the song on guitar, and it blew my mind. But speaking of Super Mario Bros. 2, Friendly Revenant, he had two. He says, I have a toss-up between the two. They're apples and oranges, so it's hard to choose, but he chose the Super Mario Bros. 2 character select screen.
Yes.
Yes, he said character select's ragtime sound just feels so happy. It gets you amped up to play, and the best part is that you can just leave the game on that screen and listen forever if you're so inclined. They redid it a few years later on the SNES, but it really wasn't the same. Something was lost in translation. They tried it again for 3D World, and it still wasn't as good as the original NES version.
I agree with this.
Right.
Yeah.
His other pick was, I'm going to include both of them because they're both really good picks, in my opinion. Metroid's Kraid's Lair.
Oh my God.
Kraid's Lair.
Yes.
He said, it's the polar opposite. It's foreboding, but the tune is so enthralling that you want to keep listening. It sounds echoey, as you really are at the bottom of a massive cavern. Also, unlike the character select, it was brought back a couple times and still sounded damn good.
I would have to go with Metroid over Super Mario 2, I think.
When you go into Kraid's Lair, the setting, there's like isn't there a scary monster face when you go down the elevator?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you see that, and then you hear this doomsday kind of music, and it kind of, if you think about it, the whole Metroid series is kind of bleak and sad, and like you think this lonely woman just running around in these caves, just by herself, just
it's very
fighting
depressing.
these space aliens, and it's like not my idea of a fun job. Next up we got Hastrain. He says, I want to pick the Mega Man 3 intro, but that's 1990. Second pick would be Gradius 3 from 1989. Well, actually, I looked it up. Gradius 3 came out in the early 90s, so he was wrong on the date.
But that's okay. We'll let it slide.
Yeah, we'll let it slide because I'm a big Mega Man fan. So here's the intro to Mega Man 3. I don't know why. Maybe it's just something about the Mega Man helmet sitting there and makes you kind of wonder at the majesty of the Mega Man universe.
Okay.
That's my best explanation.
Yeah.
Next, someone, their name was hard to pick a name. So this is someone from the this is someone from the 80s music news group. They also had 3 picks: Fester's Quest, the boss theme. So I'm going to play that one. Final Fantasy II, the Rebel Army. And then Monty on the Run main theme, which Monty on the Run, I think that's Commodore 64 song. So I want to play Fester's Quest because I'm the most familiar with that one. I think Final Fantasy II in America came out for the Super Nintendo in the early 90s as well. Fester's Quest, the advertising campaign for the game was that this is a really hard game.
This is one tough video game. Fester's Quest is one tough video game with sinister mazes, deadly traps, hideous monsters, and spooky graphics.
Because they say you can play for hours and hours, but if you die, you have to start all over again.
But if you make just one mistake, you start all over again.
And it's like, why? What kind of advertising campaign? I was like, no, I don't want that. That sounds horrible.
Are you good enough?
But that's the kind of game that I would probably like.
Maybe so.
I like hard games.
Yeah. All right, next we have Henry. And Henry says, if you want arcade classics, elevator action.
Elevator?
Elevator. Man, we got to quit doing these late night shows. Elevator action. I always end up humming it whenever I'm in an elevator alone.
Why alone, man? Be proud of your fandom.
Yes, right.
Hum in front of everybody.
Yes. If anything, you might bring a smile to their face and cheer them up. And you never know. You might meet that special, some significant other that smiles at you and says, elevator action. And then you know that you're meant for each other. And you might even engage in some action right then and there.
Exactly. Right. There really would be elevator action.
You'll live it up while you're going down. Next up we have Lurpy. His pick is the overworld theme for the first TMNT, which I think that stands for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes, it does.
NES game. It's definitely wrapped up in a lot of nostalgia for me, but it's also just beautiful. It's a bit of a brief tune.
Yeah.
It is kind of an upbeat, positive
I like it.
Song, yes. Once again, it's so freaking hard.
It is very hard.
Especially the part where you're swimming underwater trying to disarm bombs and stuff. Oh my god.
I remember that
That's
game.
just like the second stage and it's
and the
impossible.
moment that you see like the full pizza was like the happiest moment ever.
Right.
You would see the full pizza, but it was always in this really hard ass place to get to. How are you going to get the pizza? And then you die before you get there. It's so sad.
Lurpy probably disagrees with me, but I almost think that game was popular.
Oh no, I really like that game.
You liked it?
Yes, I did.
I think it was just because of the theme.
But again, I like hard games.
But then when the arcade came out, the arcade game just blew it out of the water. There was just no comparison. And I think it's just people are so starved for any kind of relation to Ninja Turtles. You know, you can play it at Pizza Hut and things like that. So.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Pop Guy. His favorite is Starship Rendezvous 1988. I looked this up. This is a PC game. Very good, high quality sound for a game back at the time. Somebody really poured his heart and soul into that soundtrack. Very lengthy soundtrack too, so definitely that was a good pick there. And we also have VGM fan, which I think the VGM stands for video game fan. So this guy must like video games. His pick was for the Commodore 64 One Man and His Droid.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, that's another one of the a bit more of like one of those obscure games, but it has a long theme as well. So.
Yeah.
And then we have Kevin.
He sounds like a nice guy.
Yes, he does. And he says, "Cool podcast, but disappointed
what?
that no one mentioned Xylard." I'm gonna kudos to you, Kevin, because
I've never heard of that game.
It's another PC game. It's kind of like Starship Rendezvous,
Wow.
where the game graphics and gameplay wasn't all that much to look at, but to listen to it, the soundtrack really stood out. And finally,
That is a good pick.
I made an exception for Deborah. Amiga was a predecessor to Commodore 64, and this game was Gods, which again maybe wasn't really that much of a standout as when it came to gameplay, but the music and the sound effects were very much top notch. Came out in '91, but I want to make an exception for you, Deborah. Here's the theme to Gods, Into the Wonderful. That's kind of like a hip-hop beat to it.
Yeah, that's a really good pick. I definitely think we should let that one slide.
All right, but don't forget, we also had a contest too for part 2.
We do, and I'm excited.
So are you ready? Who will receive a free Perler Bead creation from you?
I don't know. Let's do the random.
I already did it. And I came up with number 2. And number 2 on our list is congratulations to Eric's, you win.
Oh, which one is that?
Bionic Commando.
Oh, okay.
So
that'll be a fun one to make.
Bionic Commando character. He looks kind of like a radical 80s dude with his cool shades and his spiky hair. But most notably, he has a bionic grappling hook. And so this game, instead of jumping, you would use your grappling hook everywhere. Because you think about it, that's more realistic. I mean, how high can a human being jump anyway? Not too high. Most likely, you would use the grappling hook to get around. So that was the cool thing about the game. And so, we're going to get in touch with you, and we're going to get AK-47 Special Perler Bead creation. Yes.
I'm excited. I love making Perler Bead stuff.
Yeah, any excuse to do it.
Yes.
Okay. So, but I want to bring you down now because we have something else to talk about.
How can we go from so happy to so sad?
Okay, we're going to go from video games to, I'm going to play some Joy Division now. Because we're going to talk about, remember back when I interviewed Damocles?
Mm-hmm.
He referred to 2016. It was kind of early in the year. I think it was like April or something when I interviewed him as the Year of the Reaper. And as it turns out, he was correct because a lot of musicians died last year.
Yeah,
in 2016.
Really, they did. Yeah.
And I was going to do a little bit of a tribute, but I thought, once again, I really enjoy hearing our fans and our listeners' input on shows and what songs that you want to hear on our show. What I'm going to do is I want you to send me an email at 80ofthe80s@gmail.com, 80OFTHE80s@gmail.com. Mention an artist that died this last year and pick your favorite song by that artist and why it's your favorite song, why it's very meaningful to you, and maybe why when you listen to it now, it kind of brings a little bit of a lump in your heart.
Lump somewhere, make you sad.
Right, yeah, it kind of brings you down. And for example, like George Michael, as we mentioned, he has lots of slower ballad songs, whether it be Praying for Time or Jesus to a Child. I guess there's kind of religious metaphors in those songs too. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, it's an artist that maybe was popular in the 80s, but doesn't necessarily have to be one of their 80s songs. So another one I just heard about not long ago, was in late October. Pete Burns, the Dead or Alive.
Yeah.
He's dead, not alive now. And because we live in the States, and he was not really as well known here in the States as he was in England, I didn't know about that until just recently, and I was like, damn. So anything by him, this last year, we lost David Bowie, Prince, Glenn Frey of the Eagles, the HSO, Black. He did have one hit song in the 80s, It's a Wonderful Life. Maurice White of Earth, Wind, and Fire. We also lost 2/3 of Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. Leonard Cohen, I mean, he wrote a lot of songs apparently. I don't know much about him, but...
Weren't there two people from like Jefferson Starship that died on the same day?
That's true, and I can't remember their names, but I know one of them was like the kind of the main songwriter in the group. Oh, and then Lemmy died on 2015, December 28th, but he's so awesome, you can throw in any Motorhead songs that you like as well.
Yeah.
And actually, you can even include actors, because sometimes actors sing.
Sometimes.
Like Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned, Alan Thicke.
Yes.
And Carrie Fisher. They all sang songs. Yeah. You know. Carrie Fisher, of course, she's probably best known from the 89 comedy classic, The Burbs.
I'm sure that's Harry Met Sally. When Harry Met Sally.
That too, right. Yeah.
By the way, that's not me. That's the couch squeaking.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm pretty relaxed, but I'm not that relaxed.
Okay.
I guess that was really inappropriate timing.
Accept like a curse an unlucky deal.
Who are you? I'm the master rapper and I'm here to sing. I love Fruity Pebbles in a major way.
He loves Fruity Pebbles in a major way.
The bedrock yellow, orange, purple, lime, and red. But to get the fruity taste, I gotta trick Fred. Fruity.
To get the fruity taste, he's got to trick Fred. Funny.
Guess that's a wrap.
And that cat will stay out for a night. I don't really remember the cat much from the show.
I don't either.
I know that like Dino was a very prominent character. But the cat, I mean, I just know at the end of the show, he's trying to throw the cat out, and then he ends up getting locked out instead. And he bangs on the door and says, "Well, Ma."
Yeah. I don't really remember the Flintstones that well. I remember the vitamins. Flintstone vitamins.
Right, and actually they still do the vitamins.
They still do them, yes.
They still have Fruity Pebbles cereal and Cocoa Pebbles?
Yeah, I think they do.
Yes.
Now, I liked the Jetsons. Did you like the Jetsons?
I thought their technology was more interesting. I liked a lot of the things they could do. As for the characters, I guess the Honeymooners rip-off characters.
Yeah, you're right.
Make for more of an interesting dynamic, more drama going on with that. But and one thing I always wonder about the Jetsons though is, are they on Earth? And if so, like they're always up in the sky. I assume they're on Earth. Like what's happened below them?
But see, that's the thing. You assume they're on Earth. Maybe they aren't.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
There's probably an answer to this somewhere that
Probably
we need
so.
to research.
Right, yeah. I'm sure it's a common asked question. I just never looked into it.
Me either.
When I was younger and they had this big push about landfills and people throwing away too much garbage, I thought that, maybe, it was all junk and garbage and stuff. And so that's why they had to build homes up in the sky. But then if you think about air pollution would go up. And so if that's the worst place to be, smog, how high does smog go? Maybe the smog just kind of stays at a lower level, so they're up there above the smog, where the air is thinner.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. We hope you enjoyed the 80 of the 80s podcast, a proud member of the Throwback Network. To support our show, please leave review at iTunes. You can also download more episodes at TuneIn, Stitcher, or on our website, 80ofthe80s.com. And we also want to be your Facebook friend. Until the next song, this is AK-47 thanking you for your power play.
We're at the border.